All right, what's going on, everybody? Going to be doing a trade review for March 20th, 2023. And in this trade review, I'm going to be going over the trades that I took and the overall tickers that I normally trade to see if there's anything that I missed on them and see if there's anything noteworthy that I would like to mention that could help. But yeah, so before I begin, I just wanted to start the video off by saying, like I always do, that I'm a higher time frame flag trader or a pivot break trader. And what this means is that I go on the higher time frame, like the 15-minute, the 1 hour, and the 4 hour, and I look for flags or pivots that I can type pivots that I can trade in order for a continuation pattern to succeed. So yeah. First trade of the day, unfortunately it was a red day for me, and there's not much I can do about it. It was a bit out of my control. I think there's one thing that I could have taken into account that maybe could have helped me avoid it, but overall it was something that was a bit hard to avoid. But yeah, so the trade was on AMD. This was a downside setup on the 15-minute, and as you can see, there was some nice downward direction on the 15-minute on AMD, and you got some nice consolidation, two candles of consolidation on the 15, and then you see a break that occurred. And unfortunately, this break didn't end up having enough momentum to push down, and you can see that I drew a level out here that's clear on the 5 where I got stopped out before the trade completely invalidated. But yeah, unfortunately, this trade didn't work out. And I think the reasoning for this is because context wasn't really in my favor. If you look at IWM and SPY off the beginning of the market, they didn't really have any bearish sentiment whatsoever. IWM and SPY, as you can see, off the market, not really bearish sentiment. Yeah, it's a bit in the middle, but you see the first four candles, they look rather bullish compared to the bearish sentiment that AMD was presenting, which is usually an issue. Sometimes AMD can still work out. AMD does its own thing, whereas like SPY and IWM are indices, right? So there have been scenarios where this type of play has worked out regardless of what IWM and SPY are doing, but it's usually worthy to note what they're doing because it just shows overall context, and it shows that sometimes, like, without context, some of these trades won't go, So that was pretty much that case in this scenario where, the break happened. It didn't have enough momentum or shorts backing it, and the trade just didn't go the way that I wanted to, unfortunately. And that's okay. It happens sometimes. The only way I could have avoided it is just to be like extra cautious. But moving forward, I will be cautious for the rest of March to try to note that I take my trades in line with what context is telling me, what multiple tickers are telling me, not just one ticker. But yeah, other than that, just unfortunate L. But what can you do? That's basically the business of trading, right? You're gonna take some wins, you're gonna take some losses, and the way you survive is just to minimize the losses. So yeah, that was the only trade I took on AMD. There's another trade that I was eyeing on Apple, and when I get to it, I'll talk about it. But yeah, this was the only trade I ended up taking. Moving forward down the list on Nvidia, nothing really here. Nvidia was the only thing that had a similar sentiment to AMD in terms of bearish off open, but didn't really create a flag break, which also could have been maybe a red flag to me because the semiconductors usually work together, and you want to see something similar happening there. But as you can see, there's no flag or direction here whatsoever. Very close to VWAP. So that could have been another red flag for me, I think, seeing that. And besides that, nothing really like that I would consider that's in my system. Just some high break here. But I really would not want to trade something like this because of the opening sentiment. Seeing as supplies here is just something that's not in my system. So nothing there that I would say is noteworthy. Moving forward to Amazon. As you can see, Amazon very choppy as well, just tangling around VWAP. Not much movement down or up. Amazon was also one of the other tickers that had a nice bearish open, but Though it had a bearish open, it didn't really continue downward, or it didn't really reflect in SPY or IWM. So yeah, that was pretty interesting to see. But yeah, Amazon, nothing really there, to be honest, on the 15 or even the 1 hour, just very choppy. Same thing with the 5. Moving forward to Apple, this is something I was eyeing when I got back to my desk, and it was this pivot break. I was a bit hesitant to take it just because the origin of the move is from VWAP, and I like to take moves that are the origin of the move must be closer to the break level, and that's when you get like bigger moves. But on the 1 hour, it actually didn't look too bad, so maybe I should have reconsidered taking it. It didn't look like the most beautiful setup in the world, but it did definitely end up working out. But seeing as though it wasn't like an A plus perfect, beautiful setup, I would say I was a bit hesitant on taking it, but did end up working out. Maybe I should have taken it just because it does like hit most of the criteria. But it's just hard knowing that there's not one color of direction, and the issue in the morning with the push below VWAP and then the push up. So yeah, I'll definitely make sure to review it and remember it just in case something similar pops up, so I can have the confidence to take it. But yeah, nothing that's like perfect A plus that I missed out on, I think, to be honest. It had some nice consolidation right underneath the level before the pop, though, I will say, on the 5. You can see it touches it, it takes a candle to consolidate underneath it. Next candle tries to break, and then you see a nice rush of momentum pushing up. So that's pretty cool to see. QQQ, pretty choppy. Not really clear direction, downside or upside, just very choppy on all time frames. SPY, pretty much similar, just choppy. As you can see, it didn't have that bearish start to the morning, and if you look at QQQ, it kind of did a little bit. Not anything that's like straight up bearish, but it did have this push down, but just tangling with VWAP. So its context was just not aligned there on SPY and all the other tickers, I guess. Google, nothing really here. I mean, there's like a range break here, I guess, that could have been taken, but no direction attached to it, so not really A plus or anything, if I'm to be honest. But it did yield to a decent move, not bad at all, but it's nothing that's an A plus setup that hits all the criteria, and want to stick to those. Let me make sure there's nothing really on the 1 hour, I don't think. Yeah, 5 minute, nothing really. I don't really use the 5 minute as a main point of creating a trade idea or a thesis for a trade. So this is something that I was also looking at after the AMD trade, because Tesla got very directional off after 9:45. So you can see lots of movement here, and I was hoping for a nice consolidation underneath the 186 level for another pop, but fortunately we didn't get that follow through on Tesla. Otherwise, I think it could have been a good potential play, at least in terms of the way the pattern looks, where you see a bunch of candles consolidating under the level, and you want to see ideally another candle this candle push up close to the level and then the break happen. But fortunately we didn't get it, but I think it was definitely something to be looking out for. IWM, very similar to SPY, no bearish morning, just kind of wicky at the start, and yeah, no real direction. It's just wicky moving up. It's not like clean direction attached to like clear consolidation. Just wicky movement up, kind of like stair stepping up. Not really the price action that I like to trade. So nothing there in my opinion. Even on the 1 hour, I don't see anything worth noting. But that's pretty much about it on all the tickers. I think one thing to keep in mind is definitely context. You don't want to. I think context is more so a tool rather than something that you want to be used against you. And I think I just need to keep that in mind and just not overcomplicate it. Just take what's obvious. Seeing as though AMD was the only thing that was making such a push down, I think I should have been a bit cautious on it. The setup just looked really, really good, honestly. So I feel like I might have just not been able to ignore it, seeing this type of setup, because I've seen these setups bullish and bearish, and if you inverse the chart on AMD, like it looks good, even on the bullish side. Clear direction, this consolidation and then a push up, but it happens, I guess. You know, no strategies absolutely 100%, and you can see that here. That is an example of a failing continuation pattern. But yeah, I'm gonna move on to the next day and see what happens tomorrow. I hope you guys had a good trading day. Hope you guys have a good trading week and month. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And appreciate you guys viewing the video. Hopefully it helped you. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.